Hey, I'm so glad you're back. You know, this show's all about freedom, whether it's personal freedom to eat, drink, or smoke what you want, or to surf on the internet where you want to go without having some busybody telling you otherwise. And joining me today is our friend Chris Shafer, the Executive Director of the Canadian Constitution Foundation. And while I'm into the disclosure business, I was actually a director of the CCF about 5 years ago. Great organization for fighting for liberty. Tell me just a minute about that, and then I want to talk to you about the censorship law. Tell me about the CCF. It's been a few weeks since we've had you on the show.
I appreciate that. We're a freedoms defense team. We're lawyers that defend the constitutional freedoms of Canadians. That's what we do.
In the court of law and the court of public opinion.
For sure.
Give me an example, before we go to today's news, of a case you've taken that you've made a difference.
Well, cases we're making a difference right now. We're fighting for the rights to consume raw milk for people that choose to consume what they wish.
I know that might sound obscure, but it's the point. It's the
principle. It could be raw milk. It could be anything else. They come for raw milk today. They may come for something else. Maybe it's an energy drink. Maybe it's cigarettes. Maybe it's alcohol. Who
You're
knows?
hitting close to home when you talk about Red Bull.
Yes.
You know, I want to talk about today's news.
Sure.
We should have you on another time to go into some of the other cases you're doing. But I want to tell you about something that's got me worried, Chris. In the last Parliament, the Conservative government, which you'd think would be good on freedom, they introduced something called Bill C-51. It was to change the criminal code, and that bill died when the election was called, but I hear it's coming back in a big omnibus crime bill. I want to show you a section of that law, that proposed law called Bill C-51. We've got it on the screen. Chris, let's look at it together. Let's look at the section that's caused me so much worry. This is about hate propaganda that's criminalized. This is from the wording of the bill. The definition communicating is replaced by the following. Next slide, please. Communicating means communicating by any means and includes making available. Now, what's this? What's this? This is about hyperlinking on the internet. If you have a little word that's underlined, you know, you click on it, that's called a link. If you link to something bad, you could be criminally liable in this new law. What do you think of that, Chris?
Yeah, it raises a whole host of concerns. I mean, we all know the way the internet works. It's a network. And, you know, to be honest, where do I get most of my news today? It's not from the state broadcasters, from people like Sun TV, but also from Twitter, from Facebook, from people hyperlinking, sharing links to information, data I didn't know about. And you can't always rely on the big news companies to provide it. People are breaking news themselves. So the danger here is that, A, what is hate? It's subjective. By me linking to something, am I then liable under this legislation for hatred?
And it goes further than that, because what does the word internet mean? It's you link to someone who links to someone who links to someone. I mean, theoretically, you could start on one page and end up anywhere else on the internet because it's all link. That's what the word net means.
Share one thing with on Facebook. I've shared it with 800 of my closest friends.
Yeah, and if any one of them posts one of those links under this proposed amendment. This is a criminal code.
It's making available, Ezra.
And this isn't just some namby-pamby stuff. This is to criminally prosecute you. This isn't to shake their finger at you. You could be criminally prosecuted under the criminal code, the most punitive and stigmatizing. What's behind this, Chris?
I can only hypothesize what the government's motives are. They concern me because, you know, free speech is so important. It allows us to to hold our leaders to account, to popularize ideas that are unpopular, to change people's minds and opinions,
or to die trying,
or that too. But I may stop and think, you know, do I want to share this content with my friend? Do I want to hyperlink to it on my blog? It may raise those sorts of concerns.
And here's where it gets worse. Let's say you want to link on your blog or on your Facebook page or Twitter to something you don't like to criticize. Oh, some racist guy in Calgary spray painted this. I want to criticize. Oh, well, you linked to it. You made it available. That's the language of the law. You made it available, so you're just as much a criminal as the perpetrator.
There may be some prosecutorial discretion here. I don't know. I don't see it in the language of the bill currently. This bill, when it's reintroduced, probably in an omnibus bill, may be revised, I hope. They may change the language of this provision as well as other provisions. We have to wait and see.
Let's explain for our viewers what omnibus bill means. I mean, it basically comes down to this. For the last 5 years, the Conservatives have been trying to push through their criminal justice reforms, most of which we'd agree with, most of which every Canadian could agree with. They've been stymied because they had a minority government. Finally, they've got a majority of the House of Commons and they control the Senate now. So they want to put it all together in one big ball of laws called an omnibus bill. And they want to push it through, and they snuck this in, Chris. I mean, if you weren't looking at that wording very carefully, you wouldn't even know what they're talking about.
No, I looked at the press release for that old bill,
yeah,
and nowhere are these changes mentioned in the press release? It's focusing on a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, and then many of which are good things.
Yeah, many of which are good things.
They're sneaking this way. It's like a stowaway.
Yes.
It's like a stowaway censorship rule in a big crime bill.
You can look at it that way, for sure.
You know what? I wonder if the minister himself even knows it's in here. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but Rob Nicholson, the Justice Minister, he's been bad on censorship. He has not taken any steps to rein in his own Human Rights Commission with their abuse of censorship. I want to hope, I want to think, Chris, that Rob Nicholson doesn't know about this. What do you think? We ought to give him the benefit of the doubt.
For sure. And we've got organizations like Sun TV as well as the Canadian Constitution Foundation that are out looking at these sorts of things and bringing public awareness to these issues.
And that's the thing. You know, I am familiar enough with how government works, is if you can get to them before they table a bill in the House of Commons, you've got a much better chance of changing it than waiting once it's tabled, because then it's about saving face. And oh, we can't admit we were wrong.
The worst part is, too, once it becomes law, it becomes even harder.
Yeah.
So you've got to nip it in the bud now, or else it's very hard to change law.
What can ordinary folks do to stop Rob Nicholson from putting in this hyperlinking censorship provision in the omnibus bill? We don't have a lot of time. I hear he's going to bring that omnibus bill back in the next 3 months.
I hear that's the case as well, that the legislation will move forward. Canadians can, we're not a political lobby group, but Canadians are free to write their minister, their member of parliament, phone them, fax them, and express concerns.
You know what, I've got to do that, and I'm going to invite Rob Nicholson on. I got to tell you right now, I don't expect him to come on, because he's got a lot to answer for, not just about this, but about the Canadian Human Rights Commission, which has been doing its bad behavior on his watch. I'm going to invite him and see what he says. I don't think that Canada in the 21st century should criminalize making a link on Facebook.
I agree, and I'd be happy to come on the show and debate those issues with the minister.
Well, I'll hold you to that, and I know you'll come on. Let's see if the minister will. It's Chris Shafer, Executive Director of the Canadian Constitution Foundation. What did you say, Freedom's Defense Team?
Freedom's
That's
Defense
a good
Team.
way of putting it.